J. Cole just dropped the announcement that's shaking hip-hop to its core. 8 years of silence. Broken. The Falloff is real. February 6th. This might be his final album ever. And after everything that went down with Kendrick and Drake, the stakes have never been higher for Cole's legacy. Let's be real. Everybody thought the Falloff was just a rumor at this point. 8 years of waiting, endless speculation, fake track lists floating around Twitter. Fans were starting to lose hope. That was the narrative. Cole moved on, he's doing features, producing, living his life, but out of nowhere he flips the entire script. Official announcement, official date, vinyl pre-sales, music video. This isn't just another album rollout. This is Cole positioning The Falloff as one of the most important hip-hop albums ever released. And before we dive deep into what this all means, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because what's about to unfold is a canon event in rap history. Now let's talk about the rollout itself, because Cole is moving like a mastermind right now. The vinyl description alone tells you everything you need to know about how serious he's taking this project. We're talking about the first ever assembled pressing of this album, extreme security protocols across multiple facilities in North America, special packaging that's never been done before. And here's the kicker, there's a stealth edition that will literally never be sold again after the initial release. Think about that. Cole is treating this album like it's a piece of art that needs to be protected at all costs. This isn't marketing hype for the sake of hype. This is control. Cole is ensuring that nothing leaks, nothing gets spoiled, and that the listening experience happens exactly the way he envisions it. No early streams on some random forum, no low-quality rips floating around SoundCloud. He wants every single listener to experience the Falloff in its purest form. And honestly, that level of detail shows how much this project means to him personally. When you're coordinating vinyl pressings across multiple secure facilities, you're not just dropping an album, you're crafting a moment. You're building anticipation in a way that streaming culture rarely allows anymore. Fans online are already going crazy trying to figure out what the Stealth Edition even includes. Some folks think it's alternate cover art, others believe it's bonus tracks that won't be on streaming. Either way, the mystery is part of the appeal. But let's get into the actual content we've seen so far. The first single and music video that dropped alongside the announcement is called Disc 2, Track 2. And right away, that title is doing heavy lifting. Disc 2, that implies a double album. Automatically, fans started speculating. If this is Disc 2, Track 2, then how many tracks are on Disc 1? How many on Disc 2? Is this a 20-song project? A 30-song project? Cole's not giving us answers yet, and that's intentional. He wants people theorizing. He wants the conversation to build naturally. The music video itself is stripped down, but incredibly intentional. We see Cole doing everyday things, washing a car, sitting in what looks like a Waffle House, eating casually, walking through normal spaces. There's no flashy cars, no jewelry, no mansion shots. It's grounded, it's humble. And layered over all of that is this voiceover talking about fame fading, people falling off, and how the industry chews people up and spits them out. The message is crystal clear. Cole isn't afraid of falling off. In fact, he's embracing it. He's saying, I've seen what happens to artists who chase relevance forever. I'm not doing that. And the statement Cole released with the song hits even harder. He said, and I quote, "For the past 10 years, this album has been handcrafted with one intention. I owed it first and foremost to myself, and secondly to hip-hop." 10 years. That's a decade of writing, refining, scrapping ideas, starting over. This isn't a rushed project. This isn't Cole trying to capitalize on a moment. This is him saying, I've been working on my magnum opus, and now it's finally ready. Fans are already calling this his retirement album, and honestly, all the signs point to that. The title itself, The Falloff, suggests an ending. The visuals feel like a farewell. The way he's talking about the project in interviews and statements feels final. Cole's not out here promising a tour. He's not talking about what's next. He's focused entirely on making sure this album is perfect. That's the energy of someone who's about to walk away. But here's where it gets even crazier. Cole is intentionally mirroring the beginning of his career. The Falloff is being positioned as the bookend to the Come Up, his first mixtape from 2007. That's 19 years ago. He's coming full circle. The visuals, the themes, even the way he's talking about the project, it all echoes that hunger and rawness from his early days. Except now, he's not the underdog anymore. He's a legend, and he's using that perspective to close the loop on his entire career arc. People online are dissecting every frame of the trailer, every line of the song, every word in his statements. They're looking for clues about features, production credits, themes. Some fans think Kendrick might be on the album. Others believe Drake could make a surprise appearance. There's theories that this album will address the beef directly, and there's counter-theories that Cole will ignore it entirely and focus on his own story. Either way, the speculation is at an all-time high, and that's exactly what Cole wants. Let's talk about motive, because understanding why Cole is doing this now in this way requires us to look at the last few years of his career and the entire landscape of hip-hop. Cole has always been the introspective one, the guy who raps about real life, about struggles, about growth. He's never been the loudest in the room, but he's always been one of the most respected. And for the last decade, he's been building towards something. The Falloff isn't a random project, it's the culmination of everything he's been working towards since the Come Up.
Think about Cole's discography. The Come Up, the Warm Up, Friday Night Lights, then the studio albums. Cole World, Born Sinner, Forest Hills Drive, For Your Eyes Only, K.O.D., The Off Season. Every single project has been a step in his evolution. And the Falloff is him saying, this is the final step. This is where the story ends. That's powerful. Most rappers don't get to end their story on their own terms. They either fade into irrelevance or they keep going until people stop caring. Cole's trying to do something different. He's trying to leave at his peak with his legacy intact and with nothing left unsaid. But let's be honest, there's pressure here, because Cole's career hit a turning point during the Kendrick and Drake beef. When that whole situation exploded, Cole was caught in the middle. He responded with a diss track, then pulled it back, he apologized, and the internet had opinions. Some people respected the maturity, others saw it as weakness. That moment became a defining part of Cole's recent legacy, whether he wanted it to or not. And now, with the Falloff, he has to address it. Not addressing it would leave a massive hole in his story. Here's why that matters. In hip-hop, legacy is everything. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't handle the big moments correctly, people will remember the mistakes more than the music. Cole knows this. He's too smart not to. So the question becomes, how does he address the beef without making it the centerpiece of the album? How does he acknowledge what happened while still staying true to his introspective, mature style? That's the tightrope Cole's walking right now, and honestly, it's one of the most fascinating storylines in rap, because if he pulls it off, if he addresses the beef thoughtfully, delivers an incredible body of work, and exits on his own terms, that's legendary status. That's Jay-Z retiring with the Black Album type energy. That's Andre 3000 walking away at the peak type energy. Very few artists have ever done that successfully. Let's also talk about timing. Cole's dropping the Falloff in February 2026. That's not random. February is typically a slower month for major album releases. That means less competition, more attention, more space for the album to breathe. Cole's not trying to compete with summer blockbusters or year-end releases. He wants the Falloff to dominate the conversation completely. And by announcing it a month in advance, he's giving fans just enough time to build hype without letting the momentum fade. Another factor is the vinyl strategy. Physical media is making a comeback, especially among hip-hop fans who want something tangible. By focusing so heavily on the vinyl release, Cole's tapping into that collector mentality. People don't just want to stream the Falloff, they want to own it. They want the stealth edition, they want the special packaging. That creates urgency, that drives sales. And it also reinforces the idea that this album is an event, not just another Friday release. Cole's also been quiet for a while. No major solo projects since the off-season in 2021. That's 5 years of relative silence on the solo front. And in that time, the rap landscape has shifted. New artists have emerged. Kendrick dropped albums, Drake dropped albums, the culture moved forward. But Cole stayed patient. He didn't rush, he didn't chase trends, he waited until he had something worth saying. And that patience is part of why the Falloff feels so significant. People are also speculating about the production. Will Cole produce the entire album himself? Will he bring in live instrumentation like he did on some past projects? Will there be features, or will this be a solo journey? The lack of information is driving people crazy, but it's also keeping the conversation alive. Every new piece of info that drops sends the internet into a frenzy, and that's smart marketing. Cole's team knows how to build hype without oversharing. But at the end of the day, the real question is, can Cole deliver? Can he make an album that lives up to 10 years of expectations? Can he address his critics, satisfy his fans, and cement his legacy all at once? That's a massive ask, and the pressure is immense. But if anyone can do it, it's J. Cole, because he's proven time and time again that he's willing to take risks, be vulnerable, and prioritize artistry over commercial success. The Falloff might be his final statement, but if he nails it, it'll be a statement that echoes for decades. Now, let's talk about the emotional weight of this moment, because The Falloff isn't just an album, it's the end of an era. Cole's been with us for 19 years. That's almost 2 decades of music, growth, and evolution. For a lot of fans, Cole's music was the soundtrack to their lives. They grew up with him. They went through breakups, graduations, struggles, and triumphs with his albums playing in the background. And now he's telling us it might be over. That hits different.
Think about what Cole represents. He's the voice of reason in a culture that often celebrates chaos. He's the guy who raps about therapy, about fatherhood, about mental health. He's not trying to be the coolest or the hardest, he's trying to be the most honest. And that honesty has built an unbreakable bond with his fan base. So when he says this album is for himself first and hip-hop second, fans feel that. They understand, because they've watched him give so much of himself to the culture over the years. The trailer for The Falloff captures that emotion perfectly. There's a weight to it, a finality. The shots of Cole doing mundane tasks aren't flashy, but they're powerful because they show a man who's at peace. He's not chasing anything. He's not trying to prove anything. He's just existing. And layered over that is the message about falling off, about fame fading, about artists being forgotten. It's almost like Cole saying, I'd rather control my exit than let the industry decide when I'm done. That's courage, because most artists can't walk away. They're addicted to the spotlight, the validation, the money. But Cole's built different. He's always prioritized his mental health and his family over fame, and now he's putting that into practice. The Falloff isn't just an album title, it's a statement of intent. He's choosing to fall off on his own terms, rather than waiting for the culture to push him out. Fans are emotional right now. You see it in the comments under his posts. People are saying things like, I'm not ready to say goodbye, and this better not be the last album, and Cole helped me through the hardest times in my life. That's real. That's the connection Cole has built over nearly 2 decades. He's not just a rapper to these people. He's a mentor, he's a friend, he's a guide. And that's what makes The Falloff so significant. Cole's not just ending his career. He's ending a relationship with millions of people who've leaned on his music for strength, clarity, and inspiration. That's a huge responsibility. And based on everything we've seen so far, Cole understands that. He's not taking this lightly. He's crafting this album with the care and intention of someone who knows this is his final word. And for fans, that's both exciting and heartbreaking. The emotional stakes are sky high, because if Cole delivers, if he gives us the album we've been waiting for, then he gets to walk away a legend. But if he falls short, if the album doesn't meet expectations, then the farewell feels incomplete. That's the risk. But it's also what makes this moment so compelling. Everything is on the line, and the entire hip-hop world is watching to see how the story ends. All right, let's dive deeper into the actual music and what Cole's showing us so far. Because Disc 2, Track 2 isn't just a song, it's a mission statement. The production is soulful, stripped back, letting Cole's voice and lyrics take center stage. And lyrically, Cole's operating on a different level here. He's reflective, but he's also confident. He's acknowledging his place in the game while making it clear he's not concerned with rankings or debates anymore. He's past that. One of the standout lines in the song is when Cole talks about crafting the album for himself first. That's significant, because Cole's always been the people's champ. He's always made music for his fans, but with The Falloff, he's flipping that. He's saying, I need to make this for me. If y'all rock with it, that's a bonus. That mindset shift shows growth, it shows maturity, it shows someone who's no longer chasing validation. And the fact that he's calling it Disc 2, Track 2 tells us so much. A double album means Cole has a lot to say. It means he's not cutting corners. He's not trimming the project down to fit streaming algorithms, he's giving us everything. And based on the runtime rumors floating around online, we might be looking at 20 to 30 tracks. That's ambitious. That's a statement. Very few artists are willing to go that deep on a project anymore, but Cole's going all in. Fans online are already dissecting the song for Easter eggs and hidden meanings. Some people think the title Disc 2 Track 2 is intentional because it mirrors 2 Chainz or Tupac references. Others believe it's a nod to the second act of his career. The theories are all over the place, and Cole's not confirming or denying anything. He's letting people speculate. He's letting the mystery build, and that's smart because it keeps people engaged between now and February 6th. The video also gives us clues about the album's aesthetic. Everything is grounded. There's no CGI, no crazy effects, no over-the-top visuals. It's just Cole in real spaces doing real things. That simplicity is powerful. It forces you to focus on the message rather than the spectacle. And the message is clear. Cole's not here to impress you with flash. He's here to connect with you through honesty.
Another thing people are noticing is the lack of features announced so far. Cole hasn't revealed a track list. He hasn't teased any guest verses. That could mean this is a fully solo album, which would be bold. Or it could mean he's saving the feature reveals for later in the rollout. Either way, the focus is clearly on Cole himself. This is his story. This is his farewell. And he's not letting anyone else steal the spotlight. Let's also talk about the statement Cole released. When he said this album has been handcrafted over the past 10 years, that's not hyperbole. We've heard stories from people in his camp about how meticulous Cole is in the studio. He'll scrap entire songs if they don't feel right. He'll rewrite verses dozens of times. He's a perfectionist. And with the Falloff, he's had a decade to perfect every single detail. That's terrifying for other rappers because it means Cole's coming with his absolute best. People are also comparing the Falloff to other legendary farewell albums. Jay-Z's The Black Album, Kendrick's rumored final album, Andre 3000's absence from music. These are rare moments in hip-hop where an artist gets to control their exit. Most artists don't get that luxury. They either fall off gradually or they fade into irrelevance. But Cole's trying to do something different. He's trying to leave at his peak with his artistic integrity intact and with a project that cements his place in hip-hop history. The production on Disc 2 Track 2 also hints at what the rest of the album might sound like. It's soulful, boom-bap influenced with live instrumentation. That's classic Cole. He's not chasing trap beats or modern trends. He's going back to the foundation of hip-hop. That choice is intentional. It reinforces the idea that the Falloff is about legacy, not clout. It's about artistry, not algorithms. Fans are also speculating about the album's themes. Based on the trailer and the first song, it seems like Cole's going to explore fame, mortality, legacy, and peace. He's asking questions like, what happens when the spotlight fades? What do you leave behind? How do you find fulfillment outside of music? These are heavy topics. These are the kinds of questions artists usually avoid because they're uncomfortable, but Cole's diving in head first. And then there's the elephant in the room, the beef. Everyone's wondering if Cole will address what happened with Kendrick and Drake. Some fans think he'll dedicate a full song to it. Others believe he'll sprinkle references throughout the album. And some think he'll ignore it completely and focus on his own journey. Personally, I think Cole has to address it. Not because he owes anyone an explanation, but because leaving it unspoken would feel incomplete. That moment was too big, too public to just pretend it didn't happen. But how he addresses it will determine how people remember his legacy. If Cole approaches the beef with maturity and honesty, it could elevate the album. If he comes across as defensive or bitter, it could hurt the project. That's the tightrope he's walking. But based on everything we know about Cole, he'll handle it with care. He'll be vulnerable, he'll be real, and that's what his fans expect from him. Overall, the evidence we have so far points to an album that's deeply personal, meticulously crafted, and potentially career-defining. Cole's not playing it safe, he's swinging for the fences, and whether he connects or not, the attempt alone is worth respecting. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the broader context of Cole's career, because understanding the Falloff requires understanding where Cole's been and what he's accomplished. This isn't just about one album. This is about a 19-year journey that's led to this moment. When Cole first came on the scene with the Come Up in 2007, nobody knew who he was. He was just another kid from North Carolina trying to make it in rap. But there was something different about him. He had hunger, he had skill, and most importantly, he had a story to tell. Those early mixtapes, the Come Up, the Warm Up, Friday Night Lights, they showcased a raw, unfiltered version of Cole. He rapped about his struggles, his doubts, his ambitions, and people connected with that. Then came the Roc Nation signing. Cole became the first artist signed to Jay-Z's label, and suddenly the pressure was on. Could he live up to the hype? Could he deliver on the promise? Then he did. Cole World The Sideline Story debuted at #1. Born Sinner battled Kanye's Yeezus and held its own. 2014 Forest Hills Drive went platinum with no features, a feat that's still talked about today. Every album was a statement. Every project added to his legacy. But Cole's career hasn't been without criticism. Some people say he's boring, some say he's too preachy, some say he plays it too safe. And Cole's heard all of it. He's addressed it in his music, he's joked about it in interviews, but he's never changed who he is. He stayed true to his vision, even when the culture wanted him to be something else. And that authenticity is why he has such a loyal fan base. Over the years, Cole has also become a mentor to younger artists. He started Dreamville Records and helped launch the careers of artists like J.I.D., Ari Lennox, Boss, and Kaz. He's produced for other rappers. He's collaborated with legends like Kendrick, Jay-Z, and Nas. He's become a pillar of the culture, not just as a rapper, but as a leader. And now, with the Falloff, he's preparing to step away from all of it. That's wild, because Cole's still in his prime. He's still selling out arenas, he's still dropping critically acclaimed music, but he's choosing to walk away. And that choice says everything about who he is. He's not addicted to fame, he's not chasing relevance, he's built a life outside of rap with his family, his label, his investments, and he's comfortable stepping back and letting the next generation take over. That's rare. Most rappers don't know when to quit. They keep going until the culture forces them out. But Cole's doing it differently. He's ending on his own terms, with his legacy intact and with a project that represents everything he's worked toward for nearly 2 decades. There's also the question of what comes after the Falloff. Will Cole retire completely? Will he still produce? Will he pop up on features here and there? Nobody knows. And honestly, Cole probably doesn't know either. But what we do know is that the Falloff is his final solo statement. Everything after this is gravy. Fans are also wondering how other artists will react to the album. Will Kendrick acknowledge it? Will Drake? Will there be responses? Will other rappers try to capitalize on the moment? Hip-hop is competitive, and a project this big is bound to create ripples. But again, Cole's not worried about any of that. He's focused on his own story, his own truth. And that's what makes him special. Looking back at Cole's career, it's clear that the Falloff has always been the destination. Every album, every verse, every decision has been building toward this moment. He's been planting seeds for years, and now he's ready to harvest. Whether the album lives up to expectations or not, the journey has been incredible. And for fans, that's what matters most. Let's zoom out and talk about what the Falloff means for hip-hop as a whole. Because this isn't just about J. Cole. This is about how artists exit the game, how legacies are built, and how the culture evolves. For years, hip-hop has struggled with the concept of retirement. Rappers don't retire, they just fade away, or they keep going until people stop paying attention. Very few artists have successfully walked away on their own terms. Jay-Z tried with the Black Album, but he came back. Andre 3000 walked away, but fans are still begging for a solo album. Kendrick's been quiet, but nobody knows if he's done or just taking a break. Cole's trying to do something different. He's trying to make a retirement album that actually sticks. And if he pulls it off, he'll set a new standard for how artists exit the game. He'll prove that you can leave at your peak with your legacy intact without chasing one more hit or one more tour. That's powerful. But there's also pressure, because hip-hop culture doesn't always respect retirement. People will always want more. They'll always ask for a comeback. And Cole will have to resist that. He'll have to stay disciplined and stick to his decision. That's harder than it sounds, especially when the money and the acclaim is still there. The Falloff also raises questions about the future of conscious rap. Cole's been one of the last major artists flying that flag. With him stepping back, who fills that void? Is there a new generation of rappers ready to carry that torch? Or does conscious rap fade into the background as trap and melodic styles dominate the mainstream? These are important questions because hip-hop is always evolving.
And when a pillar like J. Cole steps away, it creates a vacuum. Someone will fill it. But will they fill it with the same level of artistry, integrity, and intention? That remains to be seen. There's also the business side. Cole owns his masters, he runs his own label, he's built a sustainable career outside of music. That's the blueprint for the next generation. You don't have to stay on the treadmill forever. You can build, invest, and eventually step back. Cole's showing young artists that there's life after rap, if you plan it correctly. And finally, the Falloff is a reminder that hip-hop is a young person's game, but it doesn't have to be. Cole's proving that you can mature, evolve, and still make meaningful music. You don't have to chase trends or pander to algorithms. You can prioritize artistry and still win. That's a lesson the entire industry needs to hear. At the end of the day, the Falloff isn't just an album. It's a statement. It's a blueprint. It's a challenge to every artist who's ever thought about walking away. Cole's showing us how it's done. And whether we're ready or not, hip-hop is about to change. So where does this all leave us? What happens if Cole actually pulls this off? What happens if the Falloff is everything we hope it is? And what happens if it's not? Let's start with the best case scenario. Cole drops a double album. It's incredible. Every song hits. He addresses the beef with maturity and grace. He reflects on his career with honesty and vulnerability. The production is flawless. The features, if there are any, are perfectly placed. And the album ends on a note that feels final but satisfying. In that scenario, Cole cements himself as one of the greatest to ever do it. He walks away with his head held high, his legacy untouchable, and his fans fulfilled. That's the dream. But what if the album falls short? What if it doesn't meet the 10 years of expectations? What if the beef discussion feels forced or incomplete? What if the double album format makes the project feel bloated? These are real risks, and in that scenario, Cole's legacy takes a hit. People will say he waited too long. They'll say the hype was bigger than the music, and the farewell won't feel as triumphant.
The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. The Falloff will likely have incredible moments and some weaker tracks. It'll address some questions and leave others unanswered. It'll satisfy some fans and disappoint others. That's just the nature of art. But the attempt alone is worth celebrating, because Cole's swinging for greatness, and that takes courage. There's also speculation about surprise elements. Will there be a short film to accompany the album? Will Cole do one final tour? Will there be a documentary about the making of the album? These are the kinds of questions fans are asking, and honestly, any of those would make sense. Cole's always been a visual artist. He's always understood the power of storytelling beyond just music, so don't be surprised if the Falloff comes with additional layers. And then there's the elephant in the room. What if Cole changes his mind? What if this isn't actually his last album? What if he drops the Falloff, takes a few years off, and then comes back with another project? It's possible. Artists change their minds all the time. But based on everything we've seen, Cole seems committed to this being the end. The messaging is too consistent. The rollout is too intentional. This feels final. But only time will tell. February 6th is coming fast, and when that album drops, the entire hip-hop world will be listening. Every bar will be dissected. Every production choice will be analyzed. Every decision will be debated. And Cole's legacy will be defined by how this moment plays out. The stakes have never been higher. The pressure has never been greater. But if there's one thing we know about J. Cole, it's that he thrives under pressure. He's built his entire career on proving doubters wrong and exceeding expectations. And this is his final chance to do it one more time. At the end of the day, the Falloff is about legacy. It's about J. Cole putting everything on the line for one final statement. And whether you're a die-hard fan or a casual listener, you have to respect the ambition. Very few artists are willing to take this kind of risk. Very few artists are willing to craft their own ending. But Cole's doing it, and we're about to witness something special. So now I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about the Falloff announcement? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Do you think Cole will address the beef with Kendrick and Drake, or will he focus entirely on his own journey? What are your expectations for this album? Do you think it'll live up to 10 years of hype? And most importantly, do you believe this is actually Cole's final album, or do you think he'll come back eventually?
These are the conversations we need to be having, because this moment matters. This is history in the making. February 6th isn't just another release date, it's the end of an era. And whether you've been rocking with Cole since the come-up or you just discovered him recently, we're all part of this moment together. If you made it this far, I appreciate you, seriously. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates as we get closer to the release. I'll be covering every single piece of news, every snippet, every interview. We're riding this wave together until February 6th. And if you want to keep the hip-hop conversation going, check out the next video. A$AP Rocky's album is about to drop, and the industry is shook. You're not going to want to miss that breakdown. But for now, stay locked in, stay patient, and get ready, because J. Cole is about to remind the world why he's a legend. Peace.